You're listening to On Purpose with Aisha Cogborn. And guess what? I'm Aisha. I'm on a mission to help people connect their purpose and passion with their profession. My goal is to bring you conversations with regular people like you who are bold enough to pursue their dreams, along with the tools and resources to help you pursue your dreams too. Be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode, and visit onpurposepodcast.com for links to the things we mention on the show. Now let's get started. You know what? I'm going to start all the way over. I'm going to start completely over. Thanks for tuning in. For the next few episodes, we're taking a break from our typical interview format to do a little teaching. As you may know, I started Platform for Purpose back in 2017 to help experts and teachers and thought leaders communicate more effectively and to make a greater impact with their expertise by building a platform. That could be speaking, a podcast, being a guest on other people's podcasts, events, books, the list goes on. And I do this work because there are a lot of people struggling. People who are at the beginning of their journey, trying to figure out, what is a platform? Is it just being on social media more? Like, what's that? There are people who are trying to figure out, is this even possible for me? I mean, because I've got this big old demanding job, and although I see this in my future, can I really add something else to my list? But I also do this for people who have actually created platforms, but they aren't seeing the impact that they hoped for. So I'm dedicating 6 episodes of this podcast to you, if you can relate to any of those scenarios. Now, this is episode 3 of 6 in the series. So if you missed the first 2 episodes, be sure to go back and check them out. We've shared 4 tips already that are our power pack. You're going to want to take some notes. And so don't miss that. Go back, listen to the first 2 episodes. And if you want access to all 6 of the episodes right now, go to mybrandonpurpose.com. Leave us your email address and we'll make sure that you get them. So now let's head into our 2 tips for today, starting with tip number 5. Be definable. If you ask 10 people what comes to mind when they think about Walmart, Disney World, Apple, you're likely to hear common themes. If you ask 10 people what comes to mind when they think of you, will you hear consistent responses? And perhaps even more important, are you pleased with the things they say? This is a foundational element of building your personal brand, which is a critical part of having an effective platform. Now, some people shy away from this whole notion of being definable because they think it means that you're trying to put them in this little tiny little box. And it means that they don't have any flexibility when it comes to who they work with or what they do. But that doesn't have to be the case. When we talk about being definable, that could be the problems that you help people solve, what you stand for, your values, your personality, your sense of style, the way you make people feel, your work ethic. The list goes on and on. And of course, depending on who you're asking, you may get different responses based on the way that they're used to interacting with you in the world. If it's someone who has worked with you as one of your clients or students, then they'll have a different level of, detail to share versus someone who is maybe just interacted with you online. But what we want to be sure of is that we're being intentional about how we want to proceed. But what we want to be sure of is that we're being intentional about how we want to be perceived and consistently showing up in a way that reinforces that. What it is not is pretending to be something or someone that you are not, just trying to be what you think you should be or what you think is popular right now. That's not authentic, baby. We don't do that around here. Remember, we're talking about building a purpose-driven platform, and purpose-driven platforms need to be authentic. So as you think about how you want to be defined, what values are important to you? How do you want people to feel in your presence? How would you want them to explain what it's like to work with you or to be in your audience? Now take a look at the touch points related to interacting with you. Are they in alignment with how you would want to be defined? So just to give you an example of what that might look like, and this really comes down to, again, foundations of a brand. Because a brand isn't just how we want people to see us. It has to be congruent with how we show up. And so we want those things to be in alignment. So if I think about me, I want to be defined as someone who can help people to build their businesses, build their platforms, build their personal brands without burning out. I'm not that team no sleep person. I believe that having a life is important. I believe that sleep is important. And so knowing that that is an important value for me, and knowing that because of that I do attract busy professionals, then I have to make sure that the way that I work with my clients is in alignment with that. Now, if I loaded them down with tons of work all the time or unrealistic deadlines or meaningless activity, that's not in alignment with the brand I want to build. I also want to be defined as somebody who really cares about people. And so for me, that means really being able to take the time to get to know the people that I work with and being accessible to a certain extent. And by doing that, and one of the ways that I do that is keeping my program sizes intimate. And so as you become more intentional about how you want to be defined, also think about what's important to the people you serve. Because there may be things that you care about that you want them to define you as this thing, and they don't care anything about that. And the things that they care about, they don't see demonstrated in you or your value system or the way you show up. So that is the perfect segue to lead us to tip number 5. Well, nope, tip number 5 was be definable. Leads us to tip number 6, know your audience. And the last episode, remember I told you that if you didn't remember anything else from the series, I wanted you to remember this. Well, do you remember what I said? Here it is, in case you forgot. You are not for everybody. One of the most freeing things that you can do for yourself is to figure out who you're uniquely gifted to serve. Just because you're a skincare expert doesn't mean that everyone with skin is your ideal client. You've got to be able to wrap your arms around it, because even though you want to help everybody, you want to serve everybody, you have a big heart, you just don't have the capacity to do that right now. So we've got to be able to narrow that thing in a little more so that we can really serve the people that we are uniquely gifted to serve. And perhaps the most important question to answer that can help you to know your audience is to know what problem you solve. So let's just stick with the skincare example for a moment. For one expert who focuses on skincare, the problem they solve may be helping people to age gracefully. For another, it could be restoring confidence by ridding their clients of skin issues. And for another still, it could be helping them to discover more natural options to add to their skincare routine. 3 different problems, possibly 3 different audiences, and likely 3 different conversations. But instead, you're talking to everybody like they have the same problem and it's not getting anyone's attention. It's noisy out there. And so even though we might be the answer that people are looking for, if we can't speak clearly enough to be able to get their attention to know that we are the answer, they are likely to keep looking and to look right past us. So, as you're trying to figure out who your right target audience is, I also want you to think beyond just demographics. Take a look also at their psychographics. What do they want? How do they think? What are they struggling with? So think about what are some of the situations that your target audience finds themselves in when they experience the problem you solve. So let's just say, going back to the skincare expert, if we're focusing on the target audience that the problem that they solve is restoring confidence by ridding their clients of skin issues. So a situation that expert may find, that expert's clients might find themselves in is they're preparing for a special event, prom, senior pictures, headshots, a class reunion, something big is coming up. They know it's on the calendar months out, and they're starting to dread it because they don't like what they see when they look in the mirror. And so at this point, they may not have started thinking about solutions. All they're focused on is, their annoyance with the problem. I look in the mirror, I've got acne, I've got these breakouts, I've got these things going on with my skin that I'm not happy about. And I don't want it to show up on my pictures. I don't want people to see me at this big event looking this way. I want to look better than this. So that would be a situation that they find themselves in. So if you know that, then you know how to speak directly to those types of situations. So to be able to talk about what are some tips that you can use, some things that you can do to make sure that your skin is clear as possible leading up to a special event. All right, now you've got their attention because that is exactly what they're thinking about right now. Also, being able to understand why they haven't been able to fix that problem for themselves. In this case, maybe they've been doing the wrong things. Maybe they just didn't have that information at all. Maybe they've just been too overwhelmed by other things in life to even consider pursuing that there's a different option. Maybe they've just accepted it as, hey, I just have bad skin, or I'm just getting older, and so this is just how it's going to be. So why haven't they done anything about it? And also an important question to know the answer to, although this could be different for different people, is what does success look like to them? Because depending on what success looks like, the solutions that you're talking about could be very different. So when you know these things about your audience, when you understand the situations that they find themselves in related to your problem, when you understand why they can't fix it for themselves, what success looks like. I mean, I could literally go through, I have a framework that my clients use when they're figuring this out about their audience. So I could teach on this stuff for like 2 hours. I won't, because we're going to keep this short. But when you start to know these things about your audience, then you know the types of conversations to have on your platform. And you got to admit it. I mean, I know this might hurt our feelings a little bit, but our audience might not care about everything that we care about. When we're experts on a certain topic, we might tend to geek out over something or want to go into all of the details. If your platform personality is a teacher, and if you don't know what that is, you can take the platform personality quiz. It's at platformforpurpose.com. Just look on the top and take the quiz. But if your platform personality is teacher, one of the things that you tend to do is to go into a lot of detail and want to share everything that you know. But your audience may not want to hear all of that. They just want to know, okay, how do you fix my problem? How do you do what I need or give me what I want? And I don't need all the backstory. Just tell me how to fix it. So when you know your audience, you're able to be more effective when it comes to speaking to their hopes and their dreams and their frustrations and being able to talk about that gap between where they are and where they want to be in a meaningful, not manipulative way. Never try to manipulate your audience. Another thing about figuring out your target audience. There are some experts, and I heard somebody say this the other day, well, your audience is the mirror of who you are. That's not necessarily true. An example where that might be true. If you took control of your health and you lost 200 pounds and now you want to help others to do the same, that might be true, that your audience mirrors who you are or who you were. But same scenario, there could be a nutritionist or a personal trainer who never carried extra weight, who may be just as capable of helping someone to reach their goal. But here's where it can get tricky. The person who experienced the challenge personally may better understand the emotional side of solving that problem, where the person who's never dealt with it may be more black and white about the solution. So in this case, hey, eat more, eat less, move more. That's how you lose weight, right? But they don't understand maybe emotional eating or some of the fear or body dysmorphia or, some of the things that other people may really be experiencing from a mental perspective that could be standing in their way. I have a very trusted and valuable advisor that I work with by the name of Dr. Erica Brown. And she kind of serves as kind of a COO in my business, and she really helps to keep me on track. And one of the conversations that we have all the time is her not fully understanding the value of what she does, because the things that she does for her clients aren't necessarily things that she struggles with. They're things that come easy to her. So it's like, well, kind of going back to what we talked about in that first episode around owning your expertise, you don't think it's a big deal. But when you can understand the struggles of the people you're serving, of your audience, because you know them, you may not be them, you may not get it. You don't have the gaps or the deficiencies that they may have in that particular area that you're helping them to fix. But you want to be able to make an effort to understand it. And not only is this going to help you to be more effective in reaching them on your platform, but it's also going to help you to serve them more compassionately. It will also help you to value, again, that expertise that we talked about. It's simple to you, but for the person who's struggling, your help means everything. Okay, Aisha, I hear you. I got to know my audience. So how do I get to know these people? Glad you asked. You got to spend time with them. Have conversations with them. This could be doing informational interviews, but pay attention when you interact with them. The language, the very specific language that they use when they talk about their challenges and when they talk about their desires, because it may not be the language that you're using. In fact, you may not even be defining the problem the same way they define the problem. The solution is the same, but you're using two different sets of language. And so you want to understand the language they're using, how they define it, so they know you're the solution. Other things you could do to get to know them. You could do a pilot, host pilot sessions or trainings, things that you can bring people together. You may do this on let's just say you were going to do a training program and you were going to charge, I don't know, I'm just going to make up a number, $500 for it. And you may say, hey, I'm going to do a pilot for this program and I'm only going to charge $100 because you want to get that feedback. You want to test it out. You want to make sure that it's resonating with your audience. You want to continually improve. Remember when we talked about the MVP in the last episode? You may be forced to start with assumptions about who your audience is and what they need. But if you're not seeing the type of engagement you desire, invest time and energy into connecting with them more. Now, I could talk about this topic all day. And in fact, it's one of the areas that I spend a great deal of time with my clients in Platform for Purpose Incubator, because if you're not talking to the right audience or your messaging is off, I don't care if you spend 12 hours a day live streaming on social media, teaching, whatever it is, you're going to have trouble attracting the right people, or your audiences just aren't going to grow because it isn't resonating. Speaking of Platform for Purpose Incubator, we're accepting applications right now for the upcoming cohort, and I could not be more excited. I love this program so much because I literally built the program that I wish I had when I was getting started building my platform. And it brings together so many of the pieces that you need under one roof. You're going to learn how to be more effective as a professional speaker. Professional speaker, not the person that you come in and you speak as a marketing activity, but we're going to teach you those tricks of the trade that folks like me who get paid to do this on a regular basis, that we know to be more effective on the platform as we're teaching and focused on the bigger strategy that we have. You're going to be more confident in front of the camera, behind the microphone, interviewing people, being interviewed. You're going to get an opportunity to develop your customized strategy based on what success looks like for you, based on how much time and energy you have to devote to this thing, even if it's just 3 hours a week. You're going to come out of here as a published author. I am so excited to say I have launched 17 first-time authors. Several others in the program were already authors, but 17 first-time authors. Maybe you're going to be the next one. And you're going to have access to one-on-one coaching with me and my team. No cookie cutter stuff here. You're going to get what you need based on your strategy, your desires, what success looks like for you, and the things that we need to work on to close those gaps. And as I've talked about before, I believe in really getting to know the people that I work with. So this is an intimate program. Only 15 new participants are allowed in each cohort. So to learn more and to apply, there is no obligation to apply. If you look at the information, it seems like a fit, then apply so that we can have a conversation. That just triggers me reaching out to schedule that conversation with you. So head over now to platformforpurpose.com and make sure that you get yourself in the process to be able to secure your spot. Well, that is it for now. Until next time, be sure to live each and every day on purpose.